anything that's
Before you start,
Okay.
how many mayors is this now of you swearing in?
Number 6.
I thought it was number 6.
Yes.
I specifically emailed her over the weekend to make sure that I was going to get to be the lucky number 6. So thank you.
But if you can just look at the audience, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Robbie Guard,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I possess
that I possess
all of the qualifications
all of the qualifications
for mayor
for mayor
as required by the laws of the state of Missouri
as required by the laws of the state of Missouri
and the charter and ordinances
and the charter and ordinances
of the city of Cape Girardeau.
of the city of Cape Girardeau.
I will support the Constitution of the United States,
I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the state of Missouri,
the Constitution of the state of Missouri,
and the charter and ordinances
and the charter and ordinances
of the city of Cape Girardeau.
of the city of Cape Girardeau.
I will faithfully demean myself
I will faithfully demean myself
in the office of mayor
in the office of mayor
of the city of Cape Girardeau,
of the city of Cape Girardeau,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations. Ms. Randall. Mr. Shopper, you please come down. Please raise your hand, repeat after me. I state your name,
I, Dwayne Shaw,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I possess
that I possess
all the qualifications
all the qualifications
City Council Member Ward 1
for a city council member, Ward 1,
as required by the laws of the state of Missouri,
as
required by the laws
required by the laws of the state of Missouri
and the charter and ordinances
and the charter and ordinances
of the city of Cape Girardeau.
of the city of Cape Girardeau.
I will support
I will support
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the state of Missouri,
the Constitution of the state of Missouri,
and the charter and ordinances
and the charter and ordinances
of the city of Cape Girardeau.
of the city of Cape Girardeau.
I will faithfully demean myself
I will faithfully demean myself
in the office of City Council Member Ward 1
in the office of city council member, Ward 1,
of the city of Cape
of
Girardeau,
the city of Cape Girardeau.
so help me God.
So help me God.
I made it a little short. You see all those men out there? I want to ask you this one. And they are American flag hills.
I state your name,
I, Tamika Randall,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I possess
that I possess
all the qualifications
all the qualifications
for City Council Member Ward 2
for City Council Member Ward 2
as required by the laws
as required by the laws
of the state of Missouri
for the state of Missouri
and the charter and ordinances
and the charter ordinances
of the city of Cape Girardeau.
of the city of Cape Girardeau.
I will support
I will support
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the state of Missouri,
the Constitution of the state of Missouri,
and the charter and ordinances
and the charter ordinances
of the city of Cape Girardeau.
of the city of Cape Girardeau.
I will faithfully demean myself
I will faithfully demean myself
in the office of City Council Member Ward 2
in the office of City Council Member Ward 2
of the city of Cape Girardeau,
of the city of Cape Girardeau.
so help me God.
So help me God.
I did not wear heels.
I state your name,
I, Martin Gross,
do solemnly
do
swear
solemnly swear
that I possess
that I possess
all the qualifications
all the qualifications
for City Council Member Ward 6
for City Council Member Ward 6
as required by the laws
as required by the law
of the state of Missouri
of the state of Missouri
and the charter and ordinances
and the charter and ordinances
of the city of Cape Girardeau.
of the city of Cape Girardeau.
I will support
I will support
the Constitution of the
the
United States,
Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the state of
the
Missouri,
Constitution of the state of Missouri,
and the charter and ordinances
and the charter and ordinances
of the city of Cape Girardeau.
of the city of Cape Girardeau.
I will faithfully demean myself
I will faithfully demean myself
in the office of City Council Member Ward 6
in the office of City Council Member Ward 6
of the city of Cape Girardeau.
of the city of Cape Girardeau.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
All right, now we are official. I've got a couple things I'd like to say. First off, thank you all for coming here tonight and being in attendance. Dwayne, welcome to the City Council of Cape Girardeau. It's a very special, the first time you take that oath. And Tamika and Mark, we meet again. We were united at last. So I want to say, first off, thank you, family, for being here. Kenny, I'm glad you made it here. Instead of friends and family now praying for you, you've got the whole city of Cape Girardeau praying for you. So that's my dad, Kenny Wallace. I'm so grateful to represent this great city and to be able to work with this council and city staff. I'm reminded of our number one asset always will be our residents and our city employees, always. And when I wrote that this afternoon, I started thinking about people like Gail Conrad, who's been here 36 years, thinking about Mike Tripp, Todd Fulton. Adam Glick's been here, he told me, I thought it was 24, and he said, well, it depends, but it's closer to 27 years. And the Scott Williams, the Brock Davises, and whenever you think of it, Stan, and so whenever you think about that, how special is that? The people that we have that are working here for the city of Cape Girardeau. As your mayor, I promise I will always listen. I will always push to have an aversion to the status quo. And I will always be passionate and loyal to our city. I am eager to get to work, and I will always make sure that we as a council are a voice for the people. Thank you all. If you were here for the swearing in, if you want to leave, go ahead, and we won't be upset. If you want to skate out, as my wife looks right at me and says, "Can I skate out?" No, don't make her be first. Somebody. Hi, Rachel. You can tell that my friends are extremely interested in this document. I'm going to get a picture of everybody.
Well, yes, you do. Yes,
All right. Now, this is the fun stuff. We have a Parks photo presentation sponsored by Councilman David Cantrell. So I'll let you have the floor. Okay. Not giving up, but no more. Sorry.
Everybody left has no idea what they're doing. Thanks for allowing me to do this, Mayor.
don't need, they require recognition. And what was accomplished over the last 9 months out at Shawnee is one of those things for this city. If you're not in the Park and Recs Advisory Board, or if you're not in the Park and Recs Department, or the Park and Recs Foundation Board, you haven't seen over the last 9 months the multitude of texts coming from members of the Park and Recs Department about the progress of what's been going on out there. And I mean everything, from your weather, from your supplies issues, all the hurdles that come with taking a sports complex and really making it a mega complex. And so I want to share with you, I'm going to share a video slide with you. It's pretty well done, thanks to our CAPE ambassador, Jim Riley, and Element 74. They put a really good slideshow together for us from all the multitude of pictures that were sent out. I've got just a few note cards I want to go over, so I don't want to miss some things. There's 5 new baseball fields added. That may not seem like a big deal, but I'm going to tell you why it is. Along with those baseball fields, you've got your added concession stands. You have shaded bleachers, restrooms, new scoreboards, and lighting. Now, if you're not in that baseball world, I mean, it's been a long time since my daughter played softball. But these things are what parents and directors, tournament directors, look at to see what facility they want to go to. Because it's important, not just for the players, the kids don't care. They just want to play ball. It's important for the parents that they have facilities and ancillary things that kind of meet their needs and requirements as well. So over the last 9 months, they have accomplished this, and the result is one of the areas, and I mean border states as well, one of the most sought after sports complexes around here. And I'll get to some more facts regarding that in just a minute. So the big change of these fields was turf. All right? We have 13 baseball, softball fields. And none of them were turf before. Now, in keeping up with the Joneses and the Marions and the Paducahs and the St. Louis, without turf, you really weren't on their radar screen anymore because that's something most everybody has. Why is turf important? I bet you young men can tell me why turf's important. I bet you play baseball, don't you? Turf's important because what happens when it rains? You get a rainout, right? Okay, and also on turf, isn't it easier to ground that ball, to field that ball, than hitting that club and catching it in your eye or losing a tooth? All right, so turf is important. And so that's what we've done with the fields. And along with all of the other things, that was a requirement that you all voted in with PSNR 2 tax to upgrade our facilities. And the sportsplex at Shawnee was the place to do that for the size of the area that we had. And Doug Gannon, our director, is going to touch on that in just a little bit. But it was important to get that turf. So the Megaplex was completed last Friday. All right? Nothing like the test the next day, which is when we had 50 softball teams descend upon the Megaplex, and after about 2 inches of rain, by the way, to play for the whole weekend. Now, we guesstimated that's about 3,000 people that came into Cape. That's a small town in a lot of areas, right? Came into Cape. About half of those, about 1,500 people, stayed in our hotels, ate at our restaurants, shopped at our shops, the mall possibly. Maybe they grabbed a snow cone and walked down the river and enjoyed, because there is time between games. And what do you do with kids in between games? You sure don't go back to the hotels and hang out, right? You want to do something with them. And the great thing about Cape is we have about a population of about 42,000, I would say, Trevor, Kenny, I'm about right, 42,000. But man, we got a big city feel here. We've got the university, we've got 2 hospitals. All the things that smaller towns, maybe like ours, that 42,000 don't have, we do have. And yet, we're centrally located right in between St. Louis and Memphis. So if you want the pro sports, you can go have it. But if you want a nice, quiet, safe place to live, reside, have a business, then you've got Cape. And the low-hanging fruit of all these visitors is just that. Those people see our city when they come visit and they play on our fields and they eat in our restaurants and they stay in our hotels. They're like, wow, Cape Girardeau is a really nice place. So next thing they're doing is they're like, hey, we're going to go back and just take the family back for a long weekend. You know, catch a movie, just go down to the parks, do something where we're not on a full schedule and enjoy ourselves. That also, that same person made me thinking, you know, I'm also thinking about expanding my business. You know, Cape would be a great place to expand a business. It's got 100,000 people in it on a daily basis, but yet you don't have the congestion of that like you do in the big city and your traffic and stuff. So that's why these visitors are so important. Let me go another step further. Our sales tax that we all pay, right? A portion of that goes into our general fund, which funds our city's operations on a daily basis. All right? You may not know this, but 60% of that sales tax comes from outside sources. Now, I'm not just saying it comes from just Park and Recs, but that's when you think of 3,000 people. All right, and by the way, the 50 teams that descended upon us last weekend is short of the 60 teams that are coming this weekend. And by the way, every weekend from here, from this one to end of June is full. So you can just count on that, and the 50 teams is one of the smallest. All right, so I spoke to the tournament director. Help me out, Lori. Lori Scott, is it Lori? Okay, I spoke with her. I asked Scott for her phone number. He said, what do you want to tell? I said, that's her phone number. There's two sides to every story, right? I wanted to talk to her about her experiences. Okay, she's been a USSSA tournament director for 15 years. She runs tournaments over 6 states. Quote, unquote, Cape Girardeau is her favorite place to put on a tournament. Now that, I don't know, you know, that's from the horse's mouth, right? And then Erica Driver is coming in this weekend with the 60 baseball teams. And she said, we love coming to Cape. We love not just the fields, but we love the people that support us there, the Park and Recs division. She goes, nobody works harder for the make conditions right and the best they can be than the staff here at the Park and Recs department. And so kudos to you all. That's profound, I believe. And talking about the sales tax, not only are you supporting the city, we're supporting a lot of business owners, particularly small business owners. They count on that traffic. The hospitals, they have demand goes there. But, walking down Main Street, grabbing an ice cream cone, walking down Main Street, you see all these shops. You may go into the antique shop or go get yourself a cup of coffee. Those business owners just rely on the visitors, and nobody like Park and Recs brings them in. Sorry. I told you it's booked every weekend, and it's critical to our city's bottom line. As council member, I have the honor of being the liaison to not just the Park and Recs Advisory Board, but to the CV Advisory Board. So I get to see the chemistry between the two. And truly, there is chemistry. You just got to sit back and watch how they talk and how they manage and how they plan and strategize together. Every application that the tournament director is going to fill out, the website for the CVB is on it. And what that website does, it brings them to everything Cape. One-stop shop of where to stay, where to eat, where to get this, where to get that. And so they work together. And I just found out from Lori, she shared with me, the CVB actually helped pay for their umpires. But she goes, nobody does that. And so, I don't know if I got anybody in trouble by saying that. But, to me, it's whatever it takes to fill those fields. All right? And they're doing that. Let's see. So, I'm going to wrap it up here and talk about our Park and Rec staff, which I have worked with as not only an advisor, but I was on the Park and Rec advisory board before I became a councilman. And I think that's kind of what motivated me to go the next step. Because I didn't know a whole lot about the city. I knew I love Cape, born and raised here, and came back after 20 years of service. I saw other cities. I lived in San Diego. I lived up north San Diego. I saw big cities. And all I wanted to do was get back home to Cape. Because I know the people. And I know what we have here to offer. And that's what brings a lot of people back. If you notice, I noticed a lot of my other friends came back after careers and stuff too. They made it their home. So, what does that is all of the work that goes into the Park and Recs. One of the aspects of the Park and Recs. I talked to Scott. I went by Sunday after church because I knew there was going to be 50 teams there, and I just wanted to see this whole controlled chaos. And I knew it rained. I knew they had to work like they humped it. They worked till 11 o'clock one night because 3 of the fields are still dirt. They had to prep those fields, not only tilling them, they had to put a compound down that helps absorb the rain and the dew the next morning. So they were out there till 11 o'clock at night. And then actually a couple of the guys even stayed, correct me if I'm wrong, they stayed in the maintenance shed out there because they were back up at 5:30 in the morning doing that again. And I talked to, I was walking around while I was out there, and I talked to several parents that were hanging out, just watching their kids, and introduced myself, and where y'all from, and that, and they were like, this is awesome. We've been coming here, this one guy, Aaron, from Springfield, Missouri. So my daughter's been on the travel team for 5 years. We've made the tournament here every year. And he goes, we always look forward to it before because the people here are really gracious. It's a very nice town. It's a very clean town. And we enjoy coming to Cape. It's not that far of a drive. And but what we've seen here over this last couple of days, this has been very impressive. And you can, for sure, we will be talking about it to our other parents who have kids in teams about you want to sign up for this tournament. That's how it goes, right? We all spend, if you're in business, you spend buku bucks on advertising. But what is it that brings people in the door more than anything is that word of mouth. And it's got to be good word of mouth as well. I asked Scott, as we were talking, I went over there about 11:30, and he was in the concession stand. He comes out with his gloves on from food prep. Okay, he's 11 o'clock to 5:30. Now he's coming out from behind the concession stand. I was like, Scott, you got a minute? He goes, yeah. He's pulling his gloves off. And we're just talking about everything that I kind of shared with you, what they had to do to get the fields ready. And that there was about an hour delay. And he talked, and Scott actually talked to a lot of the parents as well. They were all good with it. You know why? They saw how they were busting their tails to get it ready for their kids to play. So they didn't cancel the games. So they didn't waste their money, right? And I asked guys, I know the hours you put in. I said, why did you choose this field? He goes, really, it kind of chooses you. You just have to decide whether you can do it or not. And he's been doing this for 35 years, folks. And I know, I promised I wouldn't call out names because I know there's so many here. I asked Rex, I asked Doug, and Kate, Scott, those guys to bring people in because we can't pay them a whole lot more money, but I think I value recognition almost as much as that. And so I hope you all feel that. I hope you appreciate that what I want to do for you. And I appreciate what you do for the city as well as everybody up here. We know how important you are. And without further ado, I'd like to share with you a pretty cool slideshow that we put together. And if you want to get up and dance, that's cool, because it's pretty good. But how about go ahead and roll it for us? And then Doug Cannon's going to come up and give you a talk. owe 60% of that sales tax. Okay, remember next year, when that restaurant and hotel tax, we gotta put that back on the ballot. Remember that 60% is from the outsiders. So let's vote yes.
Well, thank you, Mr. Cantrell, and thanks council and the mayor and Dr. Haskell for having us here tonight to recognize this accomplishment, this huge accomplishment. So as you can tell, we're very excited about the addition of this facility and what it means to the city of Cape Girardeau. This was one of our marquee projects that was identified as part of the PRS 2 tax, which was passed by voters in 2018. We faced a big challenge when this facility was being built, or when the idea of this facility came up. We didn't have a place to put it. And we explored a couple of options. We explored a partnership option. We explored a land donation option, neither of which came to fruition. So our ambassador and good friend, Danny Esner, took it upon himself to try to find a place to put this complex. Now, I always laugh and tease with Danny, so I'll never forget the email that we got from Danny, and it said, "Guys, I think it'll fit." And the space he was referring to was the land just to the west of the existing Shawnee Park Sports Complex. And I remember thinking, Cape Youth Tackle football fields are there. That's a big ravine with a big ditch running right through the middle of it. There's a sewer truck running through there. Is this even going to be a possibility? So we worked with Public Works, we worked with Development Services, we worked with a local engineering firm, and we did determine that it was a viable site to put the complex. So then we got things moving. So we put a committee in place, and I would like to recognize our committee. That was the committee that reviewed the RFP, interviewed the contractors, selected the contractors. We dug into this thing and did a lot of work to get this thing up and running. And that was myself, Recreation Division Manager Scott Williams. I think Scott's in the building. Parks Division Manager Kay Horrell. Parks and Recreation Advisory Board Chairman Percy Houston, and of course Foundation member Danny Escher. And we also got great support from Dan Drury and Diane Drury Janet on this project as well. So we appreciate their support in allowing us to move forward with this development. So we put the RFP out on the design build project in May of 2024, had a contractor in place January 2025. We selected Pencil Construction as our contractor, and they assembled a really excellent team that could really tackle the complexity of this project. We had a lot of flood issues, floodplain, floodways. We looked at maps with different lines going through them. You can't build here, you can build there. So a lot of things to navigate. We started excavation on the project March 25. We had to start early because evidently there's some bats that live in trees, and we had to get the trees down in time before the bats came back in. And so we started March 25, and we hosted a 52-team tournament last weekend. And we're certainly proud that tournament went off without a hitch. And kudos to all of our staff that made that happen. So as Councilman Cantrell said, this was a multifaceted project. We got the 5-field youth complex. We were also able to turf our fields that were constructed in 1997. We put infield turf on those. We put new fencing on fields 1 through 5. Bleacher canopies complex wide. So the youth tackle football fields that existed just to the west of the complex, we moved those across the road. There's land there by Jefferson Pool, along College Street. There's some city land there. So we're actually putting the Cape Youth Tackle soccer fields at that location. We were able to implement a PA system complex-wide because we're getting so big now. If we've got severe weather coming in, we've got a missing child, we've got something that we need to broadcast out, we've got concession sales, we want to just get people excited, play music, we've got the ability to do that. And then we also were able to take the dirt. So we did the turf on fields 1 through 5. We moved all that dirt over to Arena Park, and we had a contractor come in and recrown those fields at Arena Park. Because those of you that have played at Arena Park know that those fields really hold water, and we really struggled with trying to keep those things ready for play. So we crowned them all with the dirt from Shawnee. So this project kind of grew as we moved along, and I really want to thank Lisa Mills as well, because Lisa project. So I can't let that go unsaid. So there's many benefits to this location. As I look at what would have happened if we would have had to choose another location, we would have had to mobilize an entire new maintenance crew. We would have had to build a new maintenance facility. We would have had to buy more fleet. So doing the project where we did, we were able to share resources with the existing operation. We used the same maintenance building. We used the same fleet, the same personnel. We had no additional staffing that we requested as part of this, and we had minimal increase in operating costs. Because we were able to trade all the expense out that went to maintain the infields on the dirt with turf, and we didn't have to buy all the supplies used to maintain the infields on those other fields. So if we were to move locations, we would have had to incur a lot of those additional costs. So this complex is going to bring many benefits to Cape Girardeau. We're going to continue to support Cape's strong position in sports tourism, which is extremely important. We will generate tax revenues across the board. When people come to town and spend money, that's lifting all taxes in the city. We're going to provide more opportunities for local leagues and field rentals. The field rentals have gone crazy. Kids are loving the idea of playing on turf. They know they're going to be able to play. It's really, and I think I seen a text last week that a young man came into the field and to play for the first time. And it was some phrase that I guess is a young person's phrase now. He said, "This is really," I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was, "This is awesome. I can't even explain to you how awesome this is playing on these fields." So we were able also to replace some of the aging fields in the Reeder Park. We share those fields with we love the fair and what they do for the community, but every year those fields were ravaged by fair parking and fair activity. So these are going to be dedicated to play at Shawnee Park. More opportunities for recreation programs. We want to open the fields up for Sparks programming. We want to open the fields up for kids to come in and just have the experience of playing on turf. And those things are all going to be things we put in the works. The biggest thing I think is if you come across the river, going west on 74, and you come into the city, you're going to see Jefferson Pool to your right. You're going to see the baseball or the soccer football fields. You're going to see the Shawnee Park Center. You're going to see fields 1 through 5, the older complex. You're going to see the new development across the road. So you really, as Mr. Cantrell said, you're going to see a megaplex when you come into the city. And I think that's going to be a very impressive entryway into the city coming from the Illinois side, coming across the river. And then we will continue to promote Cape as a great place to live and work. And that's certainly something that we want to do. The infield turf, as Mr. Cantrell said, has been a game changer. Because we have the ability to pull this tournament off this weekend. If we would have got the rain Saturday that we got without the turf, we would have lost that tournament. So that would have been one hotel night for a large number of teams, and that would have been a lot of lost revenue to the city. And I give credit to our predecessors back in 1997 that had the vision to build the Shawnee Park Sports Complex and the Osage Center, because we were really ahead of our time on sports tourism. And we've continued to develop those assets as we've gone. And as I said earlier, we've become a very popular place to come for sporting activities, not only Shawnee Park Sports Complex and the Sportsplex, but also Cape Splash. A lot of people come into town for the day, come to Cape Splash, spend money in Cape. Brenda estimates that, the CBP estimates that a person coming to Cape Girardeau to visit spend $80 a day while they're in town. So if they come to Cape Splash, you can count on them spending that kind of money before they leave town. Stop at Rose, convenience store, stop and get gas, maybe have lunch while they're here, dinner while they're here. And the Osage Center serves that purpose as well. And we've got the new Cape Aquatic Center that was also a PRS2 project. They had 175 swimmers over there this weekend for a big swim meet. So we have become a very popular destination for sports. And I think our customer service and the lengths that we go to make sure people have a good time and a good experience while they're in Cape, and the integrated services we have, the Visit Cape also play into that as well. So, and as we talked about, this past weekend in Cape, we had 52 teams at Shawnee. We estimate 35 of those were from out of town. We had 3,000 people, as Mr. Cantrell said. 108 teams played in the Sportsplex. We estimated that 50% of those teams stayed in Cape for the weekend. We had approximately 2,500 people out there at the Sportsplex this weekend. Not a hotel to be found within Cape Girardeau, probably not even in the Sikeston area as well. So these hotels really fill up quick when we have these activities in town. So comes to Cape Girardeau for a tournament, they spend $95 a day. If they come in town for a convention or a meeting, they spend $220 a day. If, as I said, they come to Cape Splash, they'll spend, or just visit Cape for the day, they'll spend $80 a day. We think each player brings about 1.5 spectators with them when they come. And Visit Cape is continuing to refine the numbers of the data that we're able to capture. Whenever, as David said, whenever people apply for funding for a tournament, they'll put down the number of people they think they're going to bring, when you're going to have lodging, what's the activities you're going to do while you're in Cape. Then we also do a post survey if we give them funding to come to town. And in that survey, they will give us specific numbers about the number of people they brought, number of hotels that they rented. And then Visit Cape's also working closely with the hotels as well to be able to just call in and say, hey, can you give us an idea of how many rooms we use this weekend for that activity? So we're continuing to try to refine those, to work on the occupancy rates for the CBB. So we also see a lot of direct revenue at these places from our facilities, from activities. With Shawnee Park Sports Complex, will make between $9,000 and $12,000 a weekend just on field rental. The Sportsplex will see between $5,000 and $8,000 on facility rental, and then concession operations generate significant income. We'll make $13,000. I think this last weekend they made over $20,000 at Shawnee with concessions. So typically a most weekend, two-day tournament, $13,000. The Sportsplex will make between $19,000 and $22,000. So we benefit everybody in the city when we bring people in. We'll pull from Missouri, Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, Arkansas. We pull from a great distance. So as we look to the future, we certainly want to keep the momentum going, keep Cape Girardeau vibrant, keep people coming. We got an opportunity down the road to potentially expand some facilities, and we certainly want to take a look at doing that. We are positioned right between Memphis and St. Louis. So we can pull from the south, we can pull from the north, and we can meet in the middle. We can have mid-south activities here at Cape Girardeau. We certainly want to keep doing that. So anyway, thank you for the recognition and the opportunity to come up and share our story and showcase what we've done for Cape Girardeau. And we look forward to great things to come.
So Doug, we do have a letter of commendation to the Parks and Recreation Department for departmental achievement during the renovation and development of the Shawnee Park Megaplex. From June 1st, 2025 through April 19th, 2026, the entire Parks and Recreation Department staff took on the daunting task of creating a megaplex within the Shawnee Park facility and grounds. Your team demonstrated a sense of dedication and loyalty necessary to successfully complete this lofty task and be show ready for a full summer of weekday and weekend tournaments and sports activities. The logistics, the management, the coordination, and leadership were exceptional, which is what we've come to expect from the entire Parks and Recreation Department. Your efforts will not only serve our city and our citizens, but will undoubtedly bring in necessary revenue from visiting teams, coaches, and family members. Your department's initiative and devotion to duty reflect great credit upon themselves and are well-deserving of recognition and gratitude. Presented this day, 20th day of April 2026, Roddy Guard, Mayor of Cape Girardeau. Thank you, sir. All right, study session item. Is this you, Mr. Cooley? Or is this? Oh, this is Ryan. Sorry, Mr. Strickland, I didn't know. But we will have a study session on the amending Chapter 25 and Chapter 30 for updating the billboard ordinances. Come on. This was actually on my last meeting on planning and zoning, wasn't it, Ryan?
All council billboards.
Do we have the slide of the actual text of the amendment? I see it, okay, it's in the set. Okay, thank you. Okay, I just want to take a few minutes to review some proposed changes to the billboard regulations. A little bit of background, all billboards in the city require a special use permit. They're only permitted in certain zoning districts and only along parcels of land that border certain streets and street sections of the city. Okay. The impetus behind this, there's a couple different things. One is we've been approached recently by some outdoor advertising agencies. They're looking for some new sites to build some billboards, and sites that they have identified aren't currently authorized under this ordinance. So we have conversation, I've had a conversation with a couple different companies about amending the regulations to add in those areas. The other thing is we're considering adding in a section for billboards in the downtown area. That's coming off of the newly opened, well, not so new now, the Esquire Theater. It's got a marquee, and they have been selling ads on that, off-premises advertising. Currently doesn't meet the code, but we discussed it as staff, felt that that was something that we could accommodate in Cape Girardeau. Not just for that area, but for other areas of downtown. We have some carefully crafted regulations. So you can see that is also in this amendment. So I'm just going to walk you through this very quickly here. Let me know if I'm going too fast or if you have any questions. Okay, the first thing we're looking at, and there's two amendments. Most of the changes are in Chapter 25 of the City Code, which is the Development Code. So that chapter is this section 25-19 pertains to the billboards. There's a much smaller amendment in the zoning code, which is chapter 30, which just adds billboards into the zoning districts where they're currently not listed. So the first thing we're proposing in this amendment is to add a definition of billboard. Okay? Good regulation has good definitions, so that's very clear to everyone what a billboard is in the city. Okay? That's an outdoor sign that advertises a business, goods, or services not located or available on the property upon which the sign is located, and it excludes signs that are permitted for off-premises advertising in Article 5, which is the sign regulations, so we don't want to run afoul of that. So as I mentioned, billboards require a special use permit. There's a process for that. And then as far as the zoning districts where billboards are currently allowed, they're allowed in C2, which is our highway commercial district, M1, which is light manufacturing industrial, M2, which is heavy manufacturing industrial, and PD, which is a plant development district. We're proposing to add in C1, which is the general commercial district. Okay, so that's a new one that came at the request of one of our outdoor advertising companies. The second one is the street sections where bordering properties would qualify for a billboard. Some of this is just cleanup language as I'm working on the amendment, any type of clarification things, so I just go ahead and add those in. The changes here, the first one is on Shawnee Parkway. Currently, the only section of Shawnee Parkway that qualifies for billboards, if it's zoned appropriately, is the portion west of Kings Highway. So this would change it to include all of Shawnee Parkway or Route 74, so all the way to the bridge, to the terminus of 74. The other change is adding in a section of Kings Highway. Right now, billboards are permitted on Kings Highway starting at Watercrest Drive and going all the way south, all the way down to where it turns into the interstate. This would change it to add in the section of Kings Highway from Interstate 55 down to and stopping at Cape Girardeau County Park North. So it would include the park property, but it would include the Mid-America Hotels development that has a sportsplex, the area known as Center Junction. That is what is proposed to be added into this ordinance. Jumping down, currently the code allows a billboard to kind of have a V shape, and then at the apex or the back, there's a small area, sign billboard area that's permitted. Right now, that sign area is capped at 150 square feet. One of the billboard companies asked them to increase that to 300 square feet to keep that in line with kind of their standard. Another major change is for billboards that are on parcels of land bordering the interstate. Right now, billboards are treated the same in terms of the maximum sign area and maximum height. We're proposing to increase that for parcels of land that are on the interstate. Again, that came from conversations with our outdoor advertising agencies. If you're familiar with Cape Girardeau, you drive down Kings Highway where we have a lot of billboards on William Street. Once you get out onto the interstate, you'll notice that the billboards are much bigger, obviously because people are traveling at higher speeds, there's more land that's open, they need more visibility. So currently, maximum billboard sign face area is 300 square feet, and then for the total is 600 square feet. We're proposing to increase it for properties bordering the interstate to go up to 800 square feet per face and 1,600 square feet total. And then as far as the length of the billboard face, the maximum is 30. For those on the interstate, the maximum would be 50. Also, as far as sign height, the maximum height is 30 feet from the grade of the street to the top of the billboard sign face. We're proposing to increase that to 35, except on the interstate where it could go up to 45 feet. Another change we're making pertains to motion. Currently, the code does not allow electronic video or digital billboard images to convey any type of movement. So we talked about this, you certainly don't want anything that's flashing or that could cause a hazard in driving. But to have a flat prohibition on images that have any type of motion whatsoever, we felt was probably a little excessive. Modern technology today, you may see a sign or an image that may have letters from school begin or something like that. So we're just changing it to where you can't have flashing images, but another effects that could be a safety hazard as determined by the city manager or the city staff, authorized by the city manager. So it kind of broadens it out. As long as we're not deeming it to be unsafe, you can have some sort of movement in your billboard digital images. Okay, and then the next major change is adding a category. This is a subcategory in the billboard regulations. We're calling it downtown billboards. Okay, so this is separate from the other billboard regulations. Billboards will be allowed in the downtown, and then it lists several different requirements. So it's got a separate set of zoning districts where it would be permitted. That would be CBD, which is the Central Business District. That's our main zoning district downtown. But also C1, C2, M1, and PP. We do have some properties that either are or could be zoned that, but they're still in the downtown area. And then as far as the streets and street sections, we're only proposing to allow it on Broadway, east of Pacific Street, all the way to Water Street, and then from Spring Street south down to Maple Street, which is the end of the bi-state owned property there on 74. The regular billboard regulations have a spacing requirement. A billboard cannot be within 1,400 feet of another billboard on the same side of the street. For the downtown area, we're kind of scaling that down. We're proposing to have a distance requirement of 500 feet. Okay, typical downtown block is between 450 and 500 feet. So that basically ensures you don't have one downtown billboard on a block on the same side of the street. There's some other language that also applies to the general regulations. Obviously, a billboard can't obscure a traffic sign or obstruct a view of approaching intersection traffic. As far as the downtown billboards, when you have the idea of a billboard downtown, you're thinking of a large structure on a big pole that's very high, very large, and it could be used on a body. And obviously, we don't have the context for that. That would not be appropriate at all downtown. So the proposal is to only allow digital displays for the downtown, something that's high quality, and it has to be integrated into a monument sign. So that's a sign that's solid all the way from the sign face down, not on a pole or posts. Or it could be incorporated into a marquee or architectural feature that's integral to the building. So the Esquire Theater that I mentioned, that's the other type of situation where a downtown billboard we feel would be appropriate. So it's really limited to that type of format, no pole signs, no pylons or anything like that. As far as the sign constraints, the maximum area of the sign face would be 50 square feet, the maximum length of the face would be 10 feet, and the total sign face area would be 100 square feet, okay? The maximum height, if it's on a monument sign, would be 12 feet. So we're talking something much smaller than what you associate with being a billboard, okay? But this would afford the ability to have some sort of off-premises advertising downtown. And then we also state that the monument sign cannot be located in public right of way unless it's approved by the council. We do have a license and indemnity agreement process, so if it's vetted, the council could agree to a license and indemnity agreement for a downtown billboard that is in the right of way. Of course, like I said, the marquee at the Esquire is in the right of way. And then at the end, it just says that the downtown billboards are also subject to some other general provisions that apply to all billboards. So, any questions?
Quick comment, I will say thank you for putting a lot of work into the downtown portion. I think that if you,
I'm sorry, I forgot I have a map. I took some time to prepare this map, so I should probably share it with you. I'm sorry to interrupt.
no,
I did want to show here, this really illustrates the corridors where billboards are currently permitted, which is in yellow. So 55 Kings Highway, Williams Street, west of Kings Highway, and 74 west of Kings Highway. And then the new areas being proposed at the north, Kings Highway, there at Center Junction, Broadway east of Pacific for downtown, Sprague from Broadway to Maple downtown, and then that East Lake Sean Parkway. I apologize for that, I meant to move through that map.
I did have a question. Well, in considering this, Broadway, west of Pacific Street, what was the thinking not to allow signs, say, out to Kings?
Well, first of all, you start getting on the university property. So the thought, just like with the parks, we kind of assumed they probably were not going to be interested in doing that. If the university wants to have signage there, it's probably going to be for their own purposes, and they're probably just going to work with us on that. That was really the main thing. Another thing is, a lot of people, even though it's not the official beginning of the downtown district, usually Pacific Street kind of seems to mark and signify that you've reached downtown, and you start having those group of buildings that are all grouped together there.
My only comment would be about the moving images. And that, I'm concerned that drivers already have so many distractions, phones and whatnot. And so I just suggest a great consideration be given to what allowed content is and how that's vetted. So advertisers, don't find out they can't do what they want to do, and also for the safety concerns about any accidents and so forth.
you want to address that? Because we brought that up at Planning and Zoning, I know.
Yeah, so, the billboards we're talking about, not that it's impossible for the city to have one, but most of these billboards that we're talking about are privately owned. So we do have, I believe, some representatives of the industry here. I see some folks from Drury Southwest Signs. They might be able to address how they kind of look at those electronic images with regard to motion to determine what is.
Well, and from my understanding from the Planning and Zoning, it's 8 seconds every 2 minutes, still photos.
Yes.
Would you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so that is currently in the ordinance, and we're keeping that. An image has to stay up for 8 seconds.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah. Yeah, so now we're talking about, like I said, motion. I guess that means the main screen has to stay up for a second, but you may have something that comes in. For example, I think I saw an image advertising the airport, and I think it was showing a panoramic of something. That's kind of, it's showing movement, but it's really the same image. Yeah, thank you for reminding me of that. Yeah, the 8 seconds will remain. That is an industry standard. We did check with Drury Southwest on that, and that's something they have.
And currently, you said we have at the Esquire Theater, there is the current billboard there. There's also one at the Lutheran Church, correct, on Broadway?
There's a digital sign there. I'm not aware of that being used for off-premise advertising.
As far as like space, as the sizing of those two currently in relation to the proposal.
Well, the Esquire marquee, there's not sign constraints on the height of it or whatever. But the panels, yes, I did work with Ben Traxler. I guess I should mention that. This draft evolved. I kept sending it to their advertising agencies, and I did run it by Mr. Traxel to ensure that his panels on his marquee fit these constraints. We don't want to pass something and then find out it's not going to work. So
Are they substantially smaller than the current
I believe the sum of their the two panels of the marquee are something around 74 square feet. And we're proposing that's a total of a maximum of 100, so it's fine.
Council, any other questions? Thank you, Ryan.
This will appear on your next agenda for first reading. And again, I mentioned the other one that just adds billboards to CBD and C1 as special uses. So unless there are changes, we plan on putting that on your agenda for next week.
Perfect. Thank you, Ryan. Last thing, and I wanted to talk about this real quick, and I didn't have it on here, but I want to discuss it. And that's appearances regarding items not on the agenda. I've talked to a few of you about this. I know years ago that they would have appearances regarding not on the agenda come to the end of study session and speak instead of at the end of council. One of the things that while talking with residents was the having to register. So I kind of wanted to get council's idea on that. We could still have them register and do it at the end of study session. And I don't want to put words in City Attorney Greg Young's mouth, but if we do it at the end of study session, if somebody wouldn't show up, we would have some grace to be able to still allow them to speak. Is that correct? Did I get that right? Kind of?
I'm not quite sure I follow what you're.
So if we did residents wanting to speak about items that are not on the agenda, if we put that at the end of the study session, technically if somebody forgot to register, that we could still allow them to speak, correct?
The requirement for registration was for the actual council meeting, so study sessions are not currently regulated by policy.
Perfect. So I did get it right, I just didn't say it right.
So this council is free to conduct its study sessions.
So my suggestion would be so that we can have some grace if somebody forgot to register and then they didn't waste time, is I would ask you all if it would be okay if we moved residents wanting to speak about items that are not on the agenda to the end of study session, still ask them to register, but we will have a lot more grace if somebody forgot. Mr. Bliss?
I just wanted to ask, are you talking about a 3-minute thing or?
It would still be regulated by 3
or
minutes.
5 minute?
3 to 5, that would still be something if you guys wanted to talk about going from 3 minutes to 5. I wasn't going to address that, but I just wanted to ask the opinion on.
Yeah.
Well, Tamika?
So I would say, being here a year now, the most important thing when somebody set that podium is that they get their point across, correct? And that we hear their point. As sure everybody in this room knows, public speaking is not a fan for most people. Not at all, actually. They hate it. So my stance would be, I think, just knowing that they have to register. That's one key in the cog of, okay, I have to be prepared because number one, I have to register to speak in front of council. Okay, so if we go from no register or from registering to no register, again, I think that lessens the seriousness, not that as a resident would have a serious comment, but I think it's being prepared. And generally speaking, we've heard numerous people come to that podium. I don't know if I've heard anybody come up that's had to register and speak and not be prepared, and that we wouldn't want to lose. I'm a big proponent of register, get your agenda, and I'm sure everybody speaks for everybody on the council. If you're in Ward 5 or any other ward, feel free to reach out. If you have something you want to discuss, we'll be more than happy to help you get that point across from your perspective. So I would rather say how it is, because correct me if I'm wrong, we don't limit how many people can register, right? You can have 40 people register for something.
I just want to be able to have a little bit more grace. I know that there have been times whenever I was on city council where people have forgot to register, and frankly, it's been changed over the last 10 years. If we move it up to the study session, I would still want to have the registration in place, but I want to be able to have some grace if somebody forgot.
I kind of understand both points. I understand what you're saying. I do like the preparation, but I understand things happen and people want to voice it while it's timely. I think maybe a happy medium would be that there's a limit of times that you can speak without registering, maybe a one-off or a two-off. And I would also suggest, while I'm suggesting, is that is a quick 3 minutes. I would suggest you make that to 4 minutes. And then if a member or a council member or yourself would like to hear more after that bell, you give them another minute. So they can really prep for 4 minutes, but sometimes, like Brian says, you get nervous up there, so you can't get it all out.
I mean, it was 5 in the past, so I mean, yeah.
Excuse me, give me a chance to speak.
Yeah.
When you come to a council meeting, we prepare for the council meeting, the agenda is sent out to the public. So the public is ready to discuss the business that's outlined in the city council. And that's our top priority. So I don't think we should change because do I want to hear what constituents have to say? Yes, all day. For the first hour and a half, no. We came here to do business. Some people prepare for the business. We have public hearings. Usually most governing boards, they got old business, new business, and non-agenda items. So if it's a non-agenda item, it's a priority for the person, but maybe not for council at the time. So everyone will have grace if you have a chance to register, because we meet twice a month. And if there's more to be done with different council members and mayor, people speak after us. But it's important that you can get off track and you start hearing with 10 or 20 people saying, and we got agenda items that we prepare for. And I don't think we should change them. We still give people grace to register and time to present at the end after we do our business. And then we hear what the constituents have.
Right, and that's why I was wanting to talk about that during study session. So, Dwayne, you want to weigh in on this? You're new.
I am new, and I will say that I have had to spend a fair amount of time getting to this point. And, you know, I've spent the last year sitting in most every meeting, and I honestly kind of like the efficiency of the meetings. I was able to come in, I knew by picking up the agenda that was outside, I saw what I was expecting, and I kind of enjoyed that. I saw there were times whenever there were heated discussions. There were some times when it was fairly swift, and they all seemed applicable at their times. But again, it seemed like a really well-organized machine. I thought that worked well, not in a bad way. I thought that the meetings ran efficiently and terribly.
Mr. Bless?
I think if you have a lengthy study session, like we just had over an hour study session, and then you're going to add additional time where people are going to come and talk. Thinking about it, I think it'd be better to put it at the end after we've done the stuff that's on a regular agenda. Because like I said, right now, you have to guide to it.
All right, well, that's why I wanted to bring it up as a council decision. So we'll just park that one and we'll just keep doing it the way. And then as time goes on, if we change our mind, we can always change it then. I don't believe we have any presentations this evening. I do communications and reports, council.
Yes, I have one. I've had fortunate and misfortune of working with a bunch of leaders. One thing I can tell you about the good leaders I've worked for is before they set your standard or your bar, they set theirs. And then they work towards that as providing an example of what you should do. It's not something they demand of you, it's something you will eventually demand of yourself. That being said, I'd like to read this, if you don't mind. On April 10th, Chief Adam Glett graduated from the Missouri Police Chiefs Command College, a prestigious leadership program for law enforcement professionals across the state. He was one of 41 law enforcement supervisors, commanders, chiefs, and sheriffs to complete the program. Hosted annually by the Police Chiefs Association in partnership with Lincoln University, Command College provides executive level training for current and future law enforcement leaders. The program focuses on strengthening leadership, decision-making, and organizational management skills. Chief Glett's accomplishment reflects his dedication to not only his own growth, but to the continued success of the Cape Girardeau Police Department and the Cape Girardeau community. Please join us in congratulating Chief Glick on this outstanding achievement.
Anyone else?
I don't have anything that special, but I was fortunately absent at the last city council meeting on my way to Augusta National with my daughter, so that was wonderful. Yes. So I would like to say, even though I know they're not here right now, I want to say thanks to Stacy Kinder and Preston for opening their arms for me, for being the new guy before Dwayne became the new guy, and thank them for their service. And I was really glad to get to know them and hope to continue a friendship and working relationship together as we proceed down the road.
Awesome. Guys, I have a couple things. First and foremost, I want to say the city of Cape Girardeau and the Cape Girardeau County will be lowering city flags to half-staff in memory of former mayor and city manager J. Ronald Fisher. I had just I'd always known, growing up in Cape Girardeau, you always knew who J. Ronald Fisher was. And the first time I met him was at Sam's Pancake House right after I had gotten elected in 2016. And all he said was, as one of the older gentlemen introduced me, he said, "Well, you know what you're getting into?" And I said, "Well, I don't really know." And he said, "Well, you'll figure it out." But J. Ronald Fisher, for those of you who know, was the city of Cape Girardeau mayor from 1966 to 1967. And I got to tell you, there was some, thank you for putting this together, Gail. There was some of this, growing up in Cape, I had no idea. Talk about the rich city history of, and J. Ronald Fisher's fingers were all over Cape Girardeau becoming the city that it is today. He was at 31 in 1966, he was the second youngest mayor in the city's history. He was on city council from 1965 to 1966. He was the city manager here in Cape Girardeau, which Gail found out that a lot of the articles that were written about him were written by Mr. Bliss. But he was the city manager from 1988 to 1995. And then he was appointed by the governor and re-elected 9 times to the Cape Girardeau County Commission from 1968 to 1988. Some of the accomplishments that are noteworthy, city manager form of government was adopted while on council in 1965. He hired the city's first city manager. Comprehensive plan was adopted in 1968. The city's water system was purchased back from Ameren in 1992. Cape LaCroix Walker Branch flood control project, which saved our plaza area. Anybody who grew up here remembers all the flooding there where Cape Girardeau Airport major renovation, Lexington Avenue street project, implementation of curbside recycling. He's known for just being a plain-speaking, common sense approach to the city manager position. He mended a lot of fences. In that time in Cape Girardeau, partly the Show Me Center and other issues, he was one that would really come in and mend a lot of fences with a lot of upset parties. A mentor and a leader to many, one of which was Gail. Gail considers J. Ronald and his wife second parents. So I wanted to read that about J. Ronald Fisher and prayers and love to his family and friends. Also, when we're talking about some condolences, I want to send condolences to Father John Harth, his family and friends. Father Harth, who served as chaplain at the Cape Girardeau Police Department for many years and the Cape Girardeau Sheriff's Department, and was heavily involved in the Springfield Cape Girardeau diocese. So condolences to his family. I saw where Prosecuting Attorney Mark Welker left, but thank you to him and Chief Glick for hosting Dr. Haskin and I over to talk about a multitude of different topics, and appreciate your time with your staff, Chief Glick. Riverfest sponsors are needed. I was talking with one of their committee members, Jeannie Muckerman, And I told her, well, I said, I guess I'll put my money where my mouth is. So my bank will be a 1776 sponsor, and I'm gonna challenge all of our other small businesses to see if they can help raise some funds for that as well. And then I wanted to do some housekeeping on our boards and commissions. Sorry, this is, it's been drinking through a fire hose the last week of my life. I will serve on SEMO Ready Board, the executive board. Dr. Haskins will continue that role as well. Dwayne will be on the Red Star NDI, that's currently inactive, but he will also be the council liaison for the Convention and Visitors Bureau, if that's okay. I know you currently sit on that, and we're talking with Councilman Cantrell, that it makes sense to keep you on there as a liaison, and then we'll be able to get another business owner like yourself to be on the board. As far as Cape Girardeau Enhanced Enterprise Zone, I was going to appoint Mark to that. I appreciate that, Mark. Comprehensive Plan Oversight Committee, we needed 3 positions for that, and I would ask Mark, Brian, and Dwayne to be a part of that. Tamika keeps all of her boards and commissions.
I have.
Would you like some more?
I have other interests.
I have other.
Yeah, you didn't ask. Yes, so I am interested in legislative liaison position. You know, I've started doing some work up there, talking to Wayne, talking to the city manager. That is an interest that I have, along with still Old Town Cape. I know Nate, he's not here, so I don't wanna, that's what happens when you're not here.
Well, I'm not gonna commit it, let's me and you and sit down and talk about that. This is my first meeting, Tamika, I mean, come on.
We've been around in the bow, Robbie.
I know, I mean, Tamika and I go way back. Gibson Center Board, we all go way back, really. And then the only other thing, and I will get to this in other business tonight, but I have asked Nate Thomas to be Mayor Pro Tem. I'm extremely, I was excited in 2019 being that nominating him and to be able to, he has such a wealth of knowledge and so maybe that does make sense, but him being Mayor Pro Tem and I can lean on him some more, but we'll get to that and Nate is such a smart individual, handles himself, well-spoken, and I believe he's been on council now for
6 years.
6 plus.
Are we keeping those other ones like airport board?
I didn't want to change any, you guys, I know Dr. Askin had said that so, but we will talk about legislative liaison.
Thank you, Mayor.
It's Robbie to me.
Let me dig in here. Sorry about that. Okay. Items up for discussion, appearances by advisory board applicants. Do we have any here tonight? If you wouldn't mind, give us your name and address, and even though I do know you.
I'm Harry Shaw, I reside at 315 North Sunset Boulevard, and I'd like to reiterate my desire to serve on the Airport Advisory Board. Having spent a career in aviation, I'm currently Vice President of EAA Chapter 453. Been involved heavily in airport renovations, hangar construction, aircraft maintenance, budgets related to that. So I'd like to be able to offer that expertise that I still have and serve on the board for Cape Girardeau. I'm also a great supporter of Comfort Aviation. I'm scheduled in July. I think I have 2 different flights coming out of Cape Contour. So whatever I can do to add to the party, please consider me for the board.
All right. Thank you for being here. Planning and Zoning Commission report, Mr. Nick Martin.
Mayor, Dr. Askins, Council, thank you guys. Congratulations, Mayor Gardner, appreciate that. And before I get started, real quick, as a father and coach of 2 young boys that play every sport, I am probably more excited than anybody in this room about unions. And it's gonna make my life a lot easier, and it's great for Kate, and it's been a long time coming, and I know what kind of impact it's really gonna have on families like us, and it's huge. So very, very excited. Thank you guys so much for all your hard work there. I'll keep it really short. This is our summary from the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting on April 8th, 2026. First item was 306, 308, 406, and 450 North Main Street and adjacent parcel to the north rezoning. So this is property directly east, I guess we're directly south of the casino. The request to rezone property from M1 Light Manufacturing Industrial to CBD Central Business District. Motion to approve passed with a vote of 5 in favor, 0 in opposition, and 2 abstaining. Next item was 576 South Mount Auburn Road sign exception. It was an exception to exceed the maximum square footage of the freestanding sign. Approved with the condition that no freestanding sign shall be allowed for the Chelsea Drive frontage, and the maximum freestanding sign area for the Shawnee Parkway frontage shall be reduced by 3.5 square feet in exchange for increased square footage along Mount Auburn Road. Vote 7 in favor, 0 in opposition, 0 abstaining. It's property right next to Jeff Hershey property down there. So last item, which I don't really need to touch on, Mr. Shrimpton did a very good job of explaining. The commission also recommended approval of an amendment to Chapter 25 Development Code regarding billboards and amendment to Chapter 30 zoning ordinance to allow billboards in the C1 General Commercial District and CBD Central Business District with special use permit. Any questions?
No?
All right,
Thank you.
have a great evening.
Before we get into the regular session, I wrote down a note, and I'll get used to this. Sorry, Dr. Aston. I also attended, I wanted to make special mention, I went to 2 retirement parties. One was Greg Heck with the fire department, and the other one was Penny Williams. And those were awesome to go to. And I would just ask staff that if we have some of those that are outside recognition of here at council, I'd like to know. So I'm going to try to make it to all those that I can. As earlier in our study session, whenever I see people like Chief Glick and others that have given 20, 30 plus years, I think that's very special. So I wanted to mention that. And then we will jump into regular session. We'll call them in. Oh, sorry. Hey, it's my first job. First time saying consent agenda review. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. You gotta keep me on my toes, man.
Thank you, Mayor. Council, we added D9, D10 for your review tonight. Basically, in D9, we're basically asking for the ability to execute the release of a lien for property located at 701 South Benton Street here in Cape. They have completed the rules of engagement regarding the property, and we are now in a position to request that the lien be released. And of course, D10, a request to release the performance agreement for the public sidewalk improvements in the Walden Park Bay Sports Subdivision. Again, in that request, they have completed the agreement and have owned up to it, and it's now time for us to move on and release them from that agreement. Mayor, that concludes the review.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Seeing none, we'll get into the regular session and call this meeting to order.
Mr. Bliss?
Here.
Mr. Cantrell?
Here.
Mayor Garr?
Here.
Mr. Johnson?
Here.
Ms. Randall?
Here.
Mr. Shaw?
Here.
Mr. Thomas? Absent.
All right. So we have I can entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We do not have any public hearings. And the consent agenda is before you. I would entertain them. Greg, I'll have to remember this, but so then it's, yeah. Okay, so, but we have the consent agenda before us. I would entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Mayor Garr.
Oh, crap.
I'll need to read it first.
Oh, I got it. I was close.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping he
Sorry about that, Greg. We'll revert. We will strike the motions and the second off.
The charter requires me to.
Yeah. It's been a couple years, Greg. I should have watched one of these on YouTube first. Go ahead, Greg. Sorry.
Alright, you gotta listen to me go through it now. Alright, here we go. Bill 2626, an ordinance amending chapter 30 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri by changing the zoning of the property located at 539 Howell Street in the city and county of Cape Girardeau, Missouri from C1 to R4 to R5. Bill 2626, an ordinance amending chapter 30 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri by changing the zoning of the property located at 539 Howell Street in the city and county of Cape Girardeau, Missouri from C1 to R4 to R5. Bill 2627, an ordinance amending chapter 30 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri by changing the zoning of the property located at 1 North Park Avenue in the city and county of Cape Girardeau, Missouri from C1 to REMD. Bill 2627, an ordinance amending chapter 30 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri by changing the zoning of the property located at 1 North Park Avenue in the city and county of Cape Girardeau, Missouri from C1 to REMD. Bill 2628, an ordinance amending chapter 30, amending chapter 25 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri regarding improvement of parking areas. Bill 2628, an ordinance amending chapter 25 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri regarding improvement of parking areas. Bill 2629, an ordinance approving the record plat type and lot subdivision. Bill 2629, an ordinance approving the record plat type and lot subdivision. Bill 2630, an ordinance accepting temporary construction easements related to the Cape Rock Drive Sidewalk project. Bill 2630, an ordinance accepting temporary construction easements related to the Cape Rock Drive Sidewalk project. Bill 2631, an ordinance amending Schedule K of Section 26.132 of the City Code established in the yield setting Pine Hill Spur at the southern intersection of Walden Boulevard. Bill 2631, an ordinance amending Schedule K of Section 26.132 of the City Code established in the yield setting Pine Hill Spur at the southern intersection of Walden Boulevard. Bill 2632, an ordinance authorizing the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri to issue its taxable industrial revenue bonds Cape West Plaza Redevelopment Project Series 2026 for the purpose of providing funds to pay the cost of acquiring, constructing, and improving the industrial development project in the city, approving a plan for the project, and authorizing the city to enter into certain agreements and take certain other actions in connection therewith. Bill 2652, an ordinance authorizing the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri to issue its taxable industrial revenue bonds Cape West Plaza Redevelopment Project Series 2026 for the purpose of providing funds to pay the cost of acquiring, construction, and improving the industrial development project in the city, approving the plan for the project, and authorizing the city to enter into certain agreements and take certain other actions in connection therewith. Bill 2633, resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a release of lien for property located 701 South Benton Street in the city of Cape Girardeau, Missouri.
Okay, council, you have the consent agenda before you. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second. We have a first and a second. All those in favor signify by stating aye. Aye. Any opposed? No discussion, all right. I'm watching Greg. Okay. All right, there were no items removed from the consent agenda, so then we will get into new ordinances. Bill number 2634, an ordinance authorizing the city manager to execute a transportation planning consolidated grant agreement with the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission in the city of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. First reading. Alex isn't here, but Mr. Pooley will be taking care of this.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, Dr. Haskins, Alex Sita, so I am a fill-in for Alex tonight. This ordinance is an agreement authorized for the use of federal funds for SIMPO activities. The city acts as a hosting agency for SIMPO and is required to execute this agreement annually. SIMPO is a federally mandated funded policy-making organization to oversee transportation planning for the city of Cape Girardeau, Jackson urbanization area. As authorized in an MOU, the city of Cape Girardeau provides administrative services and staff support of SIMPO. Each fiscal year, SIMPO receives grant funding from the Federal Highway Administration and Federal Transportation Administration to cover eligibility expenses. As the administration body of SIMPO, the city of Cape Girardeau receives the funds and therefore is required to execute the Transportation Planning Coalition Grant Amendment. The agreement for 2027 is attached. The agreement period is July 1, 26 to June 30th, 2027.
Council? Any discussion, questions? Oh, gosh, yeah. Forgot. Is there anyone here that would like to speak on behalf of this item? Anyone who would speak in opposition to this item? Council, do you have any questions or discussion or a motion?
Motion, so moved.
Second. All those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Give me a couple years, I'll get it right. Bill number 26-35, an ordinance approving the record plat of Laurentis Larkspur subdivision, first reading. Mr. Shrimpler.
This is a record plat for a lot that contains a duplex. They'd like to sell one unit off from the other, so they need to split it into two lots.
Okay. Is there anyone here to speak on behalf of this item? Seeing none, is there anyone here to speak in opposition or in favor of this? Seeing none, council? Entertain a motion? So moved. All right, discussion? Oh, pretty self-explanatory, right, Ryan? Okay. All the, hearing none, all those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Okay, Bill has it. Bill number 2636, an ordinance accepting permanent utility easements from Forefront Holdings LLC for property located on Old Hopper Road, first reading. Mr. Trimble.
This is related to the Dearman Estates Phase 2 development that was recently approved. There's some sewer main extensions that extend outside the boundary of that subdivision phase. So we had to execute a separate, they had to execute separate easements document for that. So this just accepts that easement.
Okay. Is anyone here to speak in favor of bill number 26-36? Is anyone here to speak in opposition? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second. We have a first and a second. Council discussion? Anything? Greg, I will mark my vote in abstention due to financial conflict of interest. Okay? All those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Other business, I would like to nominate Nate Thomas to be Mayor Pro Tem for Cape Girardeau City Council. Entertain a second? Second, okay. All those in favor signify by stating aye. Aye. All right. I guess, oh, yeah, appointments. Thank gosh, I got Ken too. All right, we have an appointment, and it looks like the incumbents for the Airport Advisory Board would be Keith Beller, Justin Davidson, and Sean Walson. I would entertain a motion to accept those three. So moved.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Other business, we do have appearances regarding items not listed on the agenda, and that would be Mr. Frank Allen. Name and address, please.
Yes, sir. Frank Allen, 1970 Longview Drive. Congratulations to all y'all. I know you personally, Dwayne Shaw. I knew you big time. But anyway, I'm here to let people know what I've been doing out here in my community. See, I've been feeding the homeless, the needy, the greedy, and people like us that work hard for free. And I'm here to talk about if there's any funding, because I always hear there's no case not making no money, there's no funding to help what I'm doing, so we can keep it going. And I'm from Cape Girardeau, and I've been at that park right down the street on Themis, It's called Maker and Garden Park. And the Parks and Recreation, the Parks Director, they couldn't even tell me when that park was established. You know, I'm trying to get electricity there. They tell me we don't have to fund it. I'm trying to get a bathroom there. They tell me we don't have to fund it. But I feed people, and I'm trying to continue to feed people. And on Friday, there was some kind of miscommunication where I'm banned from all the parks in Colorado because I told the Parks Director that I was gonna bash him at this meeting. He called the police and told them that I said I was gonna bash him upside his head. You know what I'm saying? So they're trying to stop me from helping the people that need help. They're trying to stop me because I haven't to do that job. You know what I'm saying? I'm just a CEO of an organization that's called Almighty People Children. It's trying to help everybody. And we are God's children, right? So is there any way that you can get that banned where I'm not banned anymore from parks? Because somehow I'm not bad at all. I'm a positive individual for my community. And if you don't know about me, you can look at me on Facebook. Like, you know, I'm the real deal. But I couldn't be nobody without the people that's helping with that.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Thank you.
Council, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, second. All those in favor, signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Made it. Made it. I promise I will work up my Robert's rules and watch.
Come on, you're, okay.
I mean, you're not